Are we good? Are we there?
Yes, we're live.
We're live. Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry that this is the first time that Yari has handed it off to me. This is the PNC meeting for this week. We've got just one really interesting agenda item that I look forward to. So I'm not going to give a fancy spiel or anything. I think all of the PNC members and everyone who might be watching it already sort of knows how these go by now. So my name is Anthony J. I am the chair of the Pirate National Committee, and I'm going to get some IDs. Pennsylvania.
Hi, my name is Drew Bingaman. I am the PA captain.
All right. Kentucky, starting with Ethan, and then he can introduce his guest.
I'm Ethan. I'm the captain of the Kentucky Pirate Party, and we've got Nick Kaimi Gunther with us. He's the quartermaster of the Kentucky Pirate Party, sitting in with us.
All right. And Nick, could you just speak so everyone can associate your title with your face?
Yeah, Nicholas Gunther. I've known Ethan since we were kids. I'm a union aircraft mechanic, local 2727. I'm a Teamster, union steward. I've been involved in politics since I was a teenager, and Ethan decided to run for Congress, so I told him I'd try to help him out any way I could.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
California.
Hi, my name is Rose Klein, also known as Yari. I am the state rep for California and the secretary of the PNC.
All right. Illinois.
Hello, I am Mitch DeVillo. I am the Illinois state captain representative here in the PNC meeting from the Chicagoland chapter of Illinois. I'm happy to be here.
All right. I think all of our PNC introductions are out of the way, so I'm going to let our guest introduce ourselves. Alex, can you state your name, state, and sort of purpose for being here for the record?
Hey, how's it going? My name is Alex. I'm from Pennsylvania. My purpose for being here, I wanted to propose a coalition of sorts and some collaboration. Can't wait to work with the, if we can, with the Pennsylvania Pirate Party and get some stuff started up.
All right, sounds good. So this is I believe the only thing on the agenda is that we're going to be speaking to Alex today about his efforts. So how I'm going to do this is I think I'm going to give Alex maybe 5 more minutes to sort of elaborate and give his whole spiel on what he's doing, what his party is about, what he wants, from us and what this coalition is about. And then from there, I'll open it up for discussion. So Alex, do you think you could give us
point of order.
The long version? Yes.
Point of order. Can we normally do reports first? Are we
You're correct. We did
here?
not do reports, so we should probably start with reports.
I would make a motion to amend the agenda and put Alex up first.
That is a motion on the table.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay. I don't know how Roberts works with this, but I don't really care. We like consensus around here too. So are there any objections to this? I'm hearing no objections.
I will raise an objection. I'm sorry, but I do believe that I would like to dedicate the utmost attention to Alex here, and I just feel like if we're going to do that, I think we should dedicate time and discussion, and I don't want to be time crunched if that's the case. I'd rather get the reports out the way real quick and then dedicate more proper time to the discussion.
Okay.
But I will abstain my vote if we decide that we want to go first with the discussion.
Well, I think that's a fair point. So I think what I'll probably do in this situation is I'll just call a vote. Pennsylvania, how do you feel?
That's an aye for me.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I should clarify. This is an aye to switching the agenda items around.
Yeah,
so
to modify the
Alex
agenda.
speak first. Yes.
Correct.
So that's an I.
Yep.
All right. Kentucky.
Aye.
Illinois.
I'll abstain.
California.
Hearing Illinois' objections, I think I'd like to vote nay and continue with the previous agenda as specified. I don't think that we have a strong reason to switch around the agenda other than just preference.
Okay, that again, I'm not super well versed in my Roberts quite yet, but I mean that just fails then, right? If we have two ayes, an abstention, and a nay. That's how I'm gonna rule it unless someone corrects me.
I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know how we. It depends on what our.
Here, I have a genuine. Would it be easier if I switched to a nay and thus AJ, you'd go to a tiebreaker?
Yeah, that would make it easier.
Well, I don't think I
Okay,
need to go
then
to a
I will switch
tiebreak,
to a
do
nay.
I? I think I just. If it's
So-
not over 50%, it fails, right?
Well, it is 50%.
I'll retract my vote to nay. How about that?
Okay, we're
Oh
doing
my
things
gosh.
in the regular.
Okay.
All right.
We're
I
doing things in the
Welcome
regular
to,
order.
welcome to a pirate meeting.
I apologize for.
We're doing things in regular order. That's the consensus that I've gathered. So unless there are any objections to that, we're going to do things in the regular order.
No objection.
We're going to start with committees. I see that the IT committee is not present unless someone else can give a report on what happened at the IT committee.
I can. I was present at the IT committee.
Okay, would you like to give a report?
Yeah, a quick summary of what happened at the IT committee. We do have a new version of crew.uspirates.org up. It is not under the same domain name, but it is, and it is working. So CiviCRM is working on it, which is a huge deal since getting Drupal to work with CiviCRM was taking so much work for some freaking reason. But we got it to work. Basically just by turning everything off and turning it back on, of course. And then, so we should have that up and being able to, people should be able to interface with it within the week easily. Because it's just a matter of putting up a form that people can input into. And then that's it.
When it gets to that point, can you let all of us know so we can start directing people to crew again, like as soon as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be an announcement. I mean, frankly, probably on the website as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
But like the breakthrough has happened. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I know I for one am really excited about this because I think crew is the one thing that we don't have super perfect, and if we have that super perfect, then we're just becoming even more super perfect. So that's really good news. To get back on track here, let's see, we've talked about IT. A platform, Mitch, do you have any platform reports?
This week, fellow Illinois Pirate James took over for me and ran the meeting. I unfortunately have just been incredibly busy this week and haven't been able to really gather up what the consensus was from the said meeting. So I hope to, now that I have the free time back in my hands, I want to present next week just kind of the grand total of everything that we've discussed over the last few weeks of platform. Next week, I plan to have that kind of laid out.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much. Outreach, I will talk about outreach. The outreach committee we have a really interesting idea. Throughout the past few weeks, the outreach committee has been talking about trying to create some sort of modular event that everyone in every state party or local party could set up with minimal effort to grow the party. You know, some kind of table that you could have either at a bigger event or just by yourself. And so it's something simple so that everyone can do. We had a few ideas, and I think that there are still some other projects that we want to work on. So ideally, we'll have multiple options for these sort of easy events. Yes, Drew, you would like to speak. That's part one, so I can stop here if you would like to chime in.
Oh, wait.
You're
okay.
muted.
I'm not. Okay. Sorry about that. I think something that the USPP can probably help other pirate parties with is maybe if we start putting our heads together for some handouts, flyers,
Oh,
stuff
you're
that we
gonna
can
love the
easily,
next.
so that we can easily
Yeah.
print that stuff. I mean, I maybe I missed that in the last outreach meeting, but I was there at the one before that. So, anyways, yeah, that. So if that's in part 2, then I will let you have it.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We're on that. Um, part 2. Well, actually, there's part 2 and there's part 3. Part 3 is what you're gonna want to hear. Part 2 is the outreach committee is sort of zeroed in on this idea of just setting up. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it's like talk to a pirate or like ask a pirate tables, where we just get this big sign and it says something, like I'm a pirate, talk to me, ask me anything, whatever. And we have pirate literature on the table and all of that stuff too. But it's just a way to get attention, and so it's one of those just regular old tables you can have at an event, but with a little bit of spice to it that's guaranteed to draw some eyes. So a bunch of different outreach committee volunteers are currently figuring out the smaller details of that, what the sign's going to look like, all of that stuff. But that's the main modular event that we're moving forward with, are these, talk to a pirate tables. Part 3 is that requires that we have literature to hand out, which means we are also working on pulling together what I've sort of started to affectionately call a pirate propaganda hackathon, which is this idea is that we're just going to hold, some kind of contest to determine who can create, the best pirate literature and handouts. That is my action item. The intricacies are still in the works. I'd like to announce it, either maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, but it's still in progress. But that's the idea of how we're going to get flyer designs. Because if we have everyone who wants to make flyers just make a pitch, make a mock-up, some kind of beta design to share with everyone else, then we have this big, pile of flyers and literature to draw from. Right? Any pirate could pick any other pirate's design that they liked. So that's the idea. I'm really excited for this event and to see how it goes. I've heard there's some people that just want to make flyers and what's the word? Rack cards. There's some pirates want to make like a whole zine. That's going to be interesting if they pull that off. So it's going to be a fun time. I really look forward to that. I think it's a great way to crowdsource pirate content and really harness the whole energy of the swarm, if you will. So that's my outreach report. We're going to move on to officers, and then of course we'll move on to comments and all of that. We'll start with Swarm Care. You're the first person I see.
I have nothing specific to report for Swarm Care. Nothing for my Swarm Care chair.
Okay. Secretary, do you have anything to report?
I don't think so. The proposal that I had suggested last week, I haven't revised into something that can be actually actionable. So I'll be proposing that next week at the IRC meeting. Otherwise, nothing to report.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to start something new and give a report from the chair. Not too much has happened this week that I think, I could really put into a neat little package, but I will say the treasurer is not here, but he and I talked this afternoon about the ways that we could maybe try and, get a donation button up on the website to get our donations up and running. And we're also talking about just general ways we can fundraise and, basically how I can help him put that whole getting us money apparatus in and sort of help him with it. So I'm really excited for that. I don't know if there's anything else that I did this week that you all need to be aware of. If I think of anything, I'll add it. Or maybe I'll talk about it, after the meeting, after we're wrapped up here, if I remember it. But Yari, you had a comment.
Just a point that on the issue of getting the donations set up on the website, I have a list of action items that can be delegated out with regards to that, because Jamie and I were talking about that as well, as part of a meeting separate from the IT meeting, actually. So yeah, if we can connect on that maybe and set up. I don't know. We can put that out to some volunteers. Maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely, because
Just a note.
Joe and I met, privately under the understanding that we were eventually going to talk to you and Jamie. And so if you and Jamie are talking, we should all get together and talk. But Joe joined the meeting. Joe, would you like to give an introduction?
Ahoy, and sorry for the late. My name is Joseph Honorowski, Treasurer of the National Committee and Massachusetts Representative.
All right. I just more or less gave a rundown on what's happening with the Treasury, but if you'd like to give a Treasurer's report yourself, it's actually the perfect time to. So it's up to you.
Oh, my stars, fashionably late to the party. So what I would like to see get done is connect with Jamie in order to add a donation button, going over some of the rules with AJ earlier today. I just want to really make sure that we're going in the right direction, get things set up, and I think a big part of that's going to be marketing, looking for in-kind donations, and looking for volunteer opportunities. Does that about sum it up?
Yep, and I'm very excited. So we will all of us who've had things to say about the Treasury, will all start to get together, and hopefully we can move that in a positive direction, because the more money we have, the more powerful we are. And we are power hungry, but for good reasons. Okay, that was stupid. Jokes aside, those are the reports. Are there any comments, discussion on those reports?
Yes, I do have an announcement from the Illinois Pirate Party.
Okay, is that?
Should we?
I know
what
what you're gonna say. I'm wondering when we should do it.
It's up to you. I don't believe it warrants much past an announcement, but I think that is up for your discretion.
First, what I'm gonna do is I am going to, make another call and ask if there are any discussion or reports. And if there is not, we will let you make your announcement before we get to our item of business. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Is there any more discussion, debate on these reports? I am hearing a no, I think. So, Mitch, I will let you have the floor and you can make your announcement.
Of course. I'm just letting everyone know that tomorrow, effectively around sometime between noon and 2 o'clock Central, I will be suspending the congressional campaign. Just realistically, I don't have the time to complete it. I'm not going to make the signature requirements, and running as a write-in is going to be a lost cause. I just think that my energy can better be suited helping Ethan's campaign. I just don't believe that a campaign from my end is feasible, and continuing to run it at this point would be for naught. So, moving forward, I hope that the Illinois Pirate Party can produce candidates as soon as 2023, but as of 2022, we will not be.
Thank you for your energy thus far, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
I look forward
continuing
to
energy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna build this up. This is a 50-state project.
Thanks for your offer to help my campaign as well.
It's not an offer. I'm on the team. I'm forcing my way in.
May I ask a quick question?
Of course.
What would be your key takeaways from this experience for the rest of us?
I would say that you have a slotted amount of time to dedicate yourself to certain things. Make timelines, path these things out. Make sure you know that you can dedicate certain time to certain activities during certain periods. I chose a different path in my life where I needed to dedicate a time specifically to that, which is something I do not regret. I'm very excited about this path in my life that I'm going to be taking. Unfortunately, this aligned with the time where I should have been collecting a plethora of signatures, and unfortunately, one was not mutually compatible with the other. So it is what it is. It's my bed. I'm lying in it, but I'm more than happy to learn from this lesson. And when I inevitably run for Congress again, I will learn from these mistakes. Yes, Drew.
I was just gonna ask you if you knew how many signatures was your minimum that you needed.
Well, actually, it's kind of sad because Illinois usually has astronomical signature
Right.
requirements,
That's
but
what I
because the congressional districts got redrawn, all we would have needed was 5,000. But
That's still a lot. That's still a lot for a congressional district, even in Pennsylvania where it's very high. 5,000 gets us on the ballot statewide. Rather like a congressional district in Pennsylvania is going to probably take about 3,000, but that's still very high.
Yes, but with that being said, I also think that this is kind of a moment of realization to where our focuses in Illinois should be at state level candidates. For the federal position, this was obviously a very large signature requirement. Still, obviously, it's one where the main party candidates only needed 500 signatures and we needed 5,000, and we only needed 5,000 because the census just got, redid and we had the new districts. Normally, I would have needed like 10,000 to 17,000 signatures
that's
to get
insane.
onto those.
That is
And
absolutely
I think
insane.
the only way to actually change this then is to actually get on state legislature in Illinois and actually make it easier for third party access. So moving forward, that will be a big, if not the biggest goal of the Illinois Pirate Party.
Awesome. I think that should be something that we all should be learning our ballot access requirements in each state and sharing them so that we can try to, where we can push for easier ballot access for third parties, not just us, but any other third parties. Because as you said, the duopolies got it easy, so relatively. I mean, 500 signatures is not a whole lot compared to when you're talking about 10 times that minimum. So, it's a big deal. That is a huge hurdle for us in a lot of states. Just the massive amount of signature requirements, and it's not easy to get that by yourself. You need an organization of people behind you to be able to get out there and get signatures. Just being part of signature gathering in the past, I know that it is not easy to get them done by yourself. So, but I will also thank you for your energy and at least getting in so far. Ethan, do you have ballot access? I guess I should ask that.
Oh yeah, I'm on the ballot. I'm officially on the ballot.
That's awesome.
I'm amazed at how many 3,000 is a lot of signatures.
Is that how many you needed?
No, I only needed 400.
Okay. For a congressional district, that's much more reasonable.
Yeah, I went over. I got an extra. I mean, I had like around 800 because they always throw some out.
That's about what it takes in Pennsylvania to get on the state legislature ballot. But that's very reasonable for a congressional district.
Quick story, just on the subject of ballot access.
I don't mean to interrupt, Mitch, but I do want to make sure that we give enough proper time to our guest. So I'm going to ask that maybe you abbreviate this story a little bit, and then after that, I do think we should probably move on.
I can sum it up in 15 seconds.
Okay.
Because the Republicans and Democrats only need 500 signatures, in 2018, the head of the Nazi Party in Illinois actually was able to collect the signature requirements needed in the Republican candidacy and run unopposed and got onto the ballot versus our incumbent.
Wow.
So if it's easier for Nazis to get on the ballot than third parties in this country, we have a serious problem, and that's fight number one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. That I'm blown away by that. Thank you for sharing. What
That
I'm
is
hearing though
insane.
is avenge Mitch DeVillo, run for your local state house as a pirate. Okay, so with that out of the way, we're going to go back to what we were going to do before I forgot the reports, because I'm still not quite in the rhythm of this whole chair thing yet. Alex, I'm going to give you sort of 5, maybe 10 minutes to continue to explain why you're here, what your projects are about, what you'd like us to do in this coalition, that sort of thing. Do you think you can do this for us?
5 to 10 minutes should be enough.
You don't have to use the whole time. I'm just giving you enough time.
Yeah,
But I'll hand it over to you.
I got it. All right. So I'll summarize it pretty quickly. So basically, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the outline. I'm going to put some literature in the chat that you guys can look over later offline if you need to. That is the basic outline of the coalition. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if may I share this in our public agenda and as part of the public-facing documents for this meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
So the basic premise is that we have a two-party system that is dominating all political. It has a duopoly on political power. So how do we fight that? And there's many key ways you can do that through working with democracy reformation movements to get ranked choice voting on the ballot, working with your local leaders in order to make an impact and get some more signatures. And another main way you can do that is by working with other third parties in order to have this basic goal of amplifying everyone's parties. So, for example, struggling with ballot access. Let's say we'll do Pennsylvania because I'm in Pennsylvania. So let's say we got the American Solidarity Party, Sam Party, Pirate Party, and my party. We all wanted ballot access, right? Collectively, I would say we would have a pretty decent amount of resources to get that done, compared to what we would have divided. So basic premise here is forming a coalition in order to amplify everyone's goals and work across differences, which is something that the current duopoly does not do, which is a great show of third parties being the future of the United States, I would, in my personal opinion. Another thing I will state is how it's structured. It's structured off of another coalition called the Listen First Coalition. And that coalition is based off a sort of opt-in mechanic where, understandably, just about every single political party is third party is strapped for resources in one form or another. So basically, this is the coalition. It's like if you have extra resources, you can and want to put in, for example, like in a strategic, like a working group, you have the ability to do that. It's completely up to you. What's going to make sure this coalition functions properly and smoothly is that we'll have a backbone team. I'll be there to make sure the coalition functions smoothly. My party's team will function as the backbone team until everything gets up and running and the coalition gets up and running. We will make sure that the coalition isn't just started with 2 parties. Around 25 organizations, give or take, will have to join before it officially starts to function up. What's up, Nicholas?
Hey, maybe I got here a little late, but I don't remember you introducing your party affiliation.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. So I am chairman of the Stair Party. So we are a political party. We like to brand ourselves as, I guess this is something we have in common. We like to brand ourselves as a purple party. The basic premise is that the national party works towards a unified economic policy, which is foundational for how a nation functions. And we have the state parties try to, so for example, the Stair Party of Minnesota has a slightly different chapter platform when it comes to social issues than the National Party. So essentially, the National Party in general works with economic policy and guaranteeing equality and preventing discrimination. And state parties work towards have their own little their platforms to cater to the local culture of the state, the local economy, and local history. So basically, if you want my personal affiliation, I'm a moderate. That was a bit of a long answer, if that got you.
Okay.
So
you can go.
All right. I mean, that was basically it. That outline, just, I mean, if you have any questions, I'm always here. Set up a meeting, reach out to me through email. Any of that works. But the basic idea is amplification of parties in order to work towards breaking the duopoly. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So the Pirate Party has a long history. We actually call it Swarmwise. And really the idea is to not allow anybody in power to ever feel like they have what we call safe harbors. We're always wanting to make sure that we work with our partners. We're a big component for ranked choice voting. And I personally would really look forward to helping you guys out and having us help you out. Our expertise is more in, or focuses have always been more on the internet privacy, security, and end of that copyright law. So that being said, I can't wait to see what we can do for each other.
I completely agree. Couldn't agree more. Internet privacy, I think that's a huge thing now. I honestly think it's a little bit annoying that people are kind of getting complacent, that people are just spying on our every move. It's like, oh yeah, cool. They're searching our browser history. That's cool. Yeah, it's the regular. It's like, no, that's not how it works. All right. But yeah. So sorry, Nicholas, you had your hand up.
Yeah. So if we're going to form a coalition, would the primary focus of coalescing together be to help each other collect signatures for ballot access? I mean, if we have like 4 different parties together and you can convince someone, I've done canvassing before in the past and collected signatures. If you can convince someone to sign their name once, you might be able to convince them to sign it 4 times, or however many parties are affiliated. So when you have an access problem, like in Illinois, for example, where you need 5,000 just to get on the ballot, if you have 4 different parties with, say, 8 volunteers on average, 32 people collecting signatures, that's only, I don't know, 32 divided by 5,000, whatever that works out to. If each person can get, 150 or whatever it works out, I don't know. I'm not that good at math. I'm not Rain Man, but that would be a huge advantage. So I would definitely, I would agree. Is that like one of your big, I mean, is that one of the big selling points here? Is we're going to help each other collect signatures, or?
That is one of the big selling points. Yes. The biggest, like the big picture selling point is is trying to figure out which resources we can coalesce together and coordinate in order to create, large impact. That's really vague. If I could break it down a little bit further. So the coalition that this is based off is the Listen First Coalition. And that coalition is full of around 500 different organizations for bridge building. If you don't know what bridge building is, that is the basic definition for civic dialogue and healing America's divides. That is an organization, around 500 organizations. Together, they have been able to significant donators. That's huge for nonprofits. They've been able to create
coalition-wide events that have been able to put all of their organizations on the national stage. For example, America Talks, I believe you can look it up right now. America Talks got national coverage when the event came out. They had partnerships with USA Today. They had a piece on ABC or NBC News as well. And various other organizations of the coalition also got their separate pieces and opinion pieces posted on those mainstream media websites. So the same thing applies here. How these organizations, these 500 separate organizations, that would have happened. America Talks, whatever they accomplished and the significance they got out of it, wouldn't have happened if they didn't coalition together. I think the same theory can apply to third parties. That goes for ballot access. That goes for, I think a big thing is reaching out to local leaders as well. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to wait for you to finish.
No, it's okay.
Sure. I'm curious about the structure. I mean, I'm trying to read through this document at the same time as we're going through this.
Right.
Specifically in terms of requirements, there's this ambassadors thing that I'm trying to filter through on here. I completely, I feel like I understand, or at least I'll try and reflect back my understanding of the basic premise, especially the basic premise that's proposed by the Listen First Coalition, which is just that member groups are giving resources to the core member groups are giving resources to the coalition on a volunteer basis when they can, because they know it's in the interest of their own individual groups to give resources to the coalition, because the coalition boosts everyone that is a member.
Yeah.
More effectively, leverages it more effectively, almost like a union of third parties, essentially. Which makes sense. I guess if you could explain the ambassador thing a bit,
so
that would be, I think, useful. And then also, I'm curious about any proposed requirements in terms of resources. Like, at what point would you have an organization? Like, if they're not contributing enough, is there a cutoff for that? If they're not, is there? You mentioned 25 organizations before things start. So how are you going about recruiting orgs before that? That's my other question.
All right. So starting with the ambassador idea. So when I was looking at how the Listen First Coalition functioned when going on mainstream news, is that the bridge building movement, as a movement, did not get as much coverage as it should have. So let's say, I guess here's one example. So the National Institute for Civic Dialogue had a piece on, I believe, ABC News or USA Today. And their organization was the only organization that was shown. And they made no message or message to NBC News or ABC or whatever saying, hey, I'm a part of a bigger coalition. This is a movement we're trying to do here. So essentially, a brand ambassador is for the coalition. So it's like that person is the person that the coalition agrees. If there was a, like, let's say ABC News picks it up and they're like, hey, we want to do a piece on the coalition. Coalition comes together. It's like, this person should be the brand ambassador for the coalition to make sure that they don't just sit there and talk about their organization specifically. They talk about the coalition and they make sure everyone's included. That's what the brand ambassador thing's about. Did that answer your question with that?
Maybe I need to look over some of the other stuff first, but go on with some of the other questions that I had, please.
I will emphasize that I put it in like capital letters that the outline I put there is a proposed general structure. I want people, if there's like opposition to certain parts and like maybe we should tweak this, and there's like, oh yeah, maybe we should, here's another idea. probably should do that. It's not like set in stone. What was the second and oh yeah, so requirements to join. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about the brand ambassadors. I was talking about the coalition ambassadors. It seems like those are different.
I believe they're the same. Coalition ambassador, yeah. Brand. I call it a brand ambassador structure, and I call the position coalition ambassador, but it's synonymous. That's a mistake by me. Requirements for joining. I haven't really set out exact requirements, but there are some basic ones, such as the Nazi Party is not allowed in this coalition. For example.
Cool, no fascists. Are we the first group that you are contacting?
No. I have a spreadsheet of the organizations I contact. That's just
Who else?
me. But let me get a base. So
I'd like to know who else you contacted, if that's acceptable.
So I talked to the Libertarian Party. I talked to some parties, state parties of the Green Party. And I talked to the biggest two that are the most promising, I would say. The Libertarian Party and the Green Party are apprehensive, as in, like, I don't have anything confirmed there. I have smaller organizations confirmed that are like, essentially, it's like one-person parties, but those people, one-person parties, but those people are usually the most involved because that's what I've noticed in the Listen First coalition. Let me finish this up. So the Sam Party and the Forward Party are the biggest ones that have interest in this idea. That's all I can say for that, because they're when I had the meeting with them, they wanted me. There was some stuff that they didn't want to disseminate yet. So that's as much as I could say. I apologize. I can't say anything further. But the Forward Party and the Sam Party have interest in the idea. Nothing is confirmed yet there. Again, dissemination things. Nicholas.
No, Anthony was first before me.
Oh, sorry, Anthony. My bad, man.
It's all right. So I will say, if it's all right with everyone, just in interest for time and making sure everything sort of stays on track, I probably will take the steering wheel back, if that's all right, and sort of call on people and do all of that stuff. I think, and if it's all right, I might actually. Oh, Mitch, I guess, has been popping in and out. I might take this time to ask my own question, and this is sort of just this is going to be the hard one, but I think it's gonna work out all right. Which is more or less, you've talked about the Listen First coalition, and really there are a lot of different coalitions, a lot of different organizations out there that have similar goals. Maybe not exactly the same goals, but have similar goals. There are a lot of organizations like this out there, right? And I guess a lot of them have been doing it for a very long time, and they sort of know what they're at, and they sort of have some kind of prestige about them. So I guess my question is, why your coalition? Why should we go with you and devote our resources to you? That's not to be like rude or anything. Like, I'm listening, I'm on board, but it's something that we as an organization need to consider if we want to join an organization like this and send resources to it. Why should we consider the CATP over other potential options that we might have?
Well, the first thing I will say is, when it comes to other potential options for a coalition, which that question has been raised before, and my answer to that always is, like, the whole reason a coalition exists is that there's one coalition and not a splinter of coalitions. So if there's another coalition, we should probably work with them to figure out a solution here. From what I know, there is no other coalition of American third parties yet in one form or another. Why the Coalition of American Third Parties specifically? Well, I can only give the only thing I can give is my dedication to it. So I've been working in this. I would presume I haven't been working this as much as any of you. I've been in the field since I was 16. I'm 19 now. I've been working with third parties since I was 16. I'm kind of grew up with third parties. My household has never been Republican or Democrat, which is crazy to me. That's kind of interesting. So my dedication to this is pretty absolute. I'm not going anywhere. If you want me to go away, you most likely will see me somewhere else working with some other organization. So, my point here is, I'm here to make sure this succeeds. That's what I'm here to do. I'll make sure this thing succeeds. That's what I can give you right here. And I can give you that my experience with coalitions as well, specifically with the Listen First coalition, and seeing and observing how that bureaucracy functions, as well as how their third-party bureaucracy functions, taking that experience and making into something that works is another thing I would like to bring to the table here.
Okay. I think that answers my question. If I have a follow-up, I'll think about it. But Joe, you had something you would like to add.
Nicholas was first.
Oh, sorry. Nicholas is first. Nick, you have something you would like to add.
I guess when you talk about forming a coalition, what you said, of course, the Nazi Party wouldn't be invited, but where do you draw the line? Because I won't collaborate with the Libertarian Party, especially after the Mises Caucus just took control, and they've taken a hard right nosedive ever since. They've been in that direction for a long time. I never even understood why Mike Gravel ran as a Libertarian, but in 2008. But they're crazy now, and I wouldn't. There's no way that I would devote any time or resources to getting them on the ballot, or try to collect signatures for them, especially after this last caucus that they voted the Mises caucus into power. That's just my opinion. There has to be some sort of criteria there where maybe it can change, every so often, but I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Can I suggest, and you can, this is your question, so you can take it or leave it. But can I suggest that maybe we restructure this question into what kind of sort of codes of ethics or standards might be required for a coalition to be for a party to be eligible? Does that sound like a good question to maybe ask, Alex?
Sure, I'm all for coalitions. I don't want to collaborate with the enemy, essentially, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, past a certain point. So I think that makes sense. Alex, can you maybe give us clarity on what the line might look like?
Right. So the basic line for me is they can't be discriminatory, as in discriminatory against race, sex, or gender, et cetera, et cetera. They cannot be anti-democratic, as in they can't be supporting the overthrow of our democracy in exchange for a despotism. And I wanted to, and if you don't mind, I wanted to answer that head on when it comes to ideology versus, I guess, to me, it's reward, I suppose, because that is something that's come up before. Like that conversation's come up before.
Okay.
And what I say is that for now, as it stands, the Libertarian Party, to me, is not as much as a threat to third parties as the two-party system is. That's just me personally. The two-party system, the Republicans and Democrats, have the power to actively make sure the Pirate Party, the Libertarian Party, and all third parties get wiped out of existence, or just never make it on the ballot, or just gerrymander everything to hell. The Libertarian Party doesn't. And to me, I think of it as, well, I don't agree with them, and I don't agree with the Libertarian Party. I don't really agree with the Green Party. I don't agree with either of those parties. personally. But I do understand that those parties are important in one form or another to the fight to make sure not only my party gets amplified and continues to exist and has the ability to exist, but also other parties have the ability to exist. So it's kind of like, to me, I guess in the most pragmatic sense of it, is focusing on what is going to actually be your enemy when it comes to the existence of the party. The people that are putting that ballot access troubles is the Republican and Democratic Party. And one more thing I will say is that if you can get the Libertarian Party to agree on trying to push for ranked choice voting, you benefit from that. You really benefit from that. So if you are, yeah, so that's to me, that's how I see it. It's in a practical sense. The same thing goes for the bridge building movement. Not everyone agrees with how you have a conversation. What is the best way to have a conversation with someone to make sure there's no division or hate or festering angst after a conversation? No one really has the answer yet in that coalition. But what they can agree upon is that the coalition is really helping them out, and there are some things that have to be worked out, and they're going to do it together, and they're going to benefit from it. And if they decide, oh, these differences are too much, I got to disperse, well, let me tell you, no more nationwide or big donators for those nonprofits anymore. That's how I see it personally. But I understand how that can, how that might not be the best answer.
All right. If that's the end to that, Joe, you are next, correct?
Thank you. I will keep my questions brief. So we've been doing this. You said you've been doing this for 2 years. We've been doing this for significantly longer. I'm not going to date myself. Thank you. But we've been doing this for a little bit. And so my question is, how big is your organization? And that being said, there are most certainly parties that we do not agree with and we don't want to associate with. And we want to make sure that we're keeping our noses clean and true to purpose.
Right.
You know, we've gone through many trolls, many angst, much heartache and tribulations to get to where we are. And as I am willing to work with just about any organization, just as there is hesitation here, there is good reason for it.
Yeah, I think there is good hesitation to be had. And I guess that goes back to the thing is I just see it as a practical sense. If the Libertarian Party honestly is, if there is, let's say the Mises Caucus suddenly implements something and is starts saying no gay marriage, well, I'm not going to work with them either because that's discrimination. But if they're like cool, you know, they're chill about it, and they're not racist or sexist, and we can get ranked choice voting implemented so that we all benefit. There's room to kind of like work across differences there.
Okay, but more specifically, my question is the size of your organization.
Sorry about that. So we have, I would say in our social media team, we have about 5 members. So they work specifically on social media. And then we got there's a college chapter starting up in Louisiana this year for LA Tech. And we have a Stair Party of Minnesota and a Stair Party of North Dakota starting up. It's still in the works. They're working on a constitution, bylaws, stuff like that. And we also have a chapter at Kutztown University. So that's how large our organization is. We started 2021. So I launched this party February of 2021. So just to give you some reference for that. Sorry, I didn't mean to avoid that question. I got lost.
No worries. And I didn't want to seem condescending. But my question is, why not just become a pirate? Join.
So looking through your platform, right? I looked over it generally, right? Question, I have to really look through it. You know what I mean? Like when I looked through the Constitution's platform, I made sure to look at page by page. When I scrolled through your guys' platform and I saw the basic check marks, I was like, that's cool. We can do a coalition. We're good. Constitution Party, I looked through their platform. I saw a lot of red flags, and I was like, no. They asked me the same question. They asked me the same question of like, why not become a constitutionalist? And I usually it's because I think the biggest thing that we had the difference on was economic platform. But I would have to check your platform specifically and get back to you on that to see if a merger is possible.
No, can I comment on that? Before my question, I know I want to let Ethan have a question, but I need to comment on this.
You can comment on this.
Don't join the pirates. Encourage other people to join the pirates, but don't join the pirates. Decentralization is key. Direct democracy is key. Strength in decentralization.
Yari,
Always.
I do
Strength
think
in decentralization. I am sticking to my goddamn principles here.
I think we should disagree with you here that we should discourage people not to join the pirates.
No. No, I'm not discouraging people not to join the pirates. I'm discouraging another party to dissolve and become part of the pirates. Right?
I never said I would dissolve.
Right. No, exactly. Right. If the other party was bigoted as hell, cough, cough, libertarians, right? And then they dissolved and then joined the pirate. And then like the good people joined the pirate party. I'm down with that. Like, that's fine. That's been happening and we're good. Like, that's fine. Right. But if another party that is okay, yeah, no, they should stick around.
I think that if we can properly brainwash Alex, we should accept that.
Down for brainwashing Alex, not down for the dissolution of another party.
All right.
You're too pure of heart for this politics thing, Jared.
I second the motion.
Anyway, Ethan was going to talk.
Okay. Ethan, it's your turn to talk.
Yeah, I forgot you mentioned you had spoken with the Forward Party, and what was the other major one you mentioned?
Sam Party. Yep.
What's that? I've never heard of them. I just was curious about that.
Sam Party, for the most basic sense, is a big tent organization. They have some basic beliefs, like they're a big ranked choice voting person. I think their biggest thing is that they have like a scorecard of candidates that are running, and if they score high on their like little test, they can run under the Sam Party.
What is that? Stand for something?
Serve America movement.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never heard of them. Okay.
No, it was founded by Sam, and he just really liked his name.
All right. Are you two done there? Okay. Yari, you are back up.
I was just going to ask, because I'm all about that decentralization and direct democracy. It's kind of my thing. My question for you, Alex, is when you get burnt out, because it will happen eventually, or you decide temporarily you want to go to a different project and then eventually come back to this maybe, how have you set up structures in place to allow other people to replace you, or how have you set up structures in place so that you can delegate work?
Yeah, so great question, actually.
Because it sounds like right now you are the backbone of this whole thing, and I want to make sure that...
This is the break.
There we go. We're back.
Oh, what's going on? I'm being
We
called
should be back. We're back.
Can you hear me all right?
Okay. I can hear you. Alex, please continue.
Yeah. So burnout. So I've experienced it before. And usually my solution, this has been my go-to solution. So first of all, when I was 16, the workload I could handle was much less than it is now. So from what I know, the limit a capacity of what I can take on, it's been growing, I guess, over the years. I've been very keen.
It's an asymptote.
Yeah. I've been
It's an
very
asymptote.
I've been very keen to make sure I don't overflow, because I understand these projects are a constant grind rather than like a one and done. So I've experienced burnt out before, and usually what I do is I just go, if that happens, I go into emergency mode, and usually I get my stuff done. Usually what I do,
This is I stay up because I work better in the night, and I get all my tasks done real quick. I get my tasks done over the night. But that is when I experience burnt out, which I've experienced burnt out 2 times, and they lasted weeks, and then I was right back on it. So I've made sure to account for my mental health and my workload situation to make sure that everyone else doesn't get screwed over.
Okay, so but I'm not asking how dependable you are. I'm asking how you are building an organization that can be independent of you.
Oh yeah. So I've been very pushy to my Wisconsin friend and Louisiana friend that are starting up chapters, and I really push them. First of all, I really push them to create their own constitutions, create their own bylaws, create their own platforms for their parties. And also I've pushed them to make their own connections. So I did help them originally because they were new to they weren't new to politics, they were new to political bureaucracies. So I had to help them there. But basically, I treat it as kind of like a best thing I can come up with, like a bird in a nest. Essentially, I make sure they're well fed, and then when the time comes, I can push them off and they can fly. I've been making sure to do that through making them have their own independent work, getting them to be autonomous. They're my friends, by the way, so I'm not like treating them like just like random workers. These people are close to me. They're good friends of mine, so they don't really care if I speak like this. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add on that front, Yuri?
No, I think my question has been answered. Thank you.
Okay. Mitch, you are next.
Yes. So my question really has to do with the goals of the coalition.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you too well, though that might be on my end.
Yeah,
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine?
Okay.
Okay, so my question really is just in regards to the goals of the coalition. Are you seeking to just have it so third parties can get access to the ballot? If so, what is the goal after we make ballot access? This just personally, just the way that it sounds, the way that these coalitions sound like it would work, it sounds like it'd be coalition on a state level basis to where our state parties would be working together to achieve the same goals. Even if that's in every state that we have, it does sound like it'd be a state-to-state issue. To which then the question becomes, if the question is ballot access, does these states where we've achieved it, do they continue to work together, or since it's mission complete, is it best party wins type deal? I'm sorry. I don't think I actually asked a real question, more so than I asked a bunch of scenarios. Really just, I want to know, what is the ultimate goal of this coalition? What do you hope to achieve with working together with these parties and grouping together? What is the ideological or ultimate political goal with coalition?
Ultimate goal, like if we're talking about dreaming, dismantling of the duopoly, if we're talking about realism, other than ballot access, another humongous thing that coalitions do is you get access to new connections. So, for example, when doing this journey to figure out what's out there, near me personally, of what local community leaders are near me, there's plenty. There is like there's like this there's like this unknown area of connections that a lot of third parties don't have access to, just because they haven't figured out that it exists yet. It's like a video game. We haven't unlocked that level yet because we don't have enough experience or something like that. So another big, humongous factor of how a coalition benefits third parties in general is, let's say you and the Illinois Green Party, you guys get in you're like, hey, we should connect. And they're like, hey, let's see how we work together, la-di-da-di-da. It's like, oh yeah, do you know about Jim leading the ranked choice voting initiative in Chicago? And they're like, oh no, I didn't know about them. Did you know about Daniel over South Side? It's like, no, I didn't. Well, we got to connect these two people together. We got to get some more connections going, work with them further, maybe coordinate our efforts even further. That's another big factor of coalition building, is that you get access to more connections. So, for example, the Stair Party is a member of the Listen First Coalition. I've been able to access a lot of people that I probably would have never had access to because of the coalition's existence. So if ballot access is achieved, the coalition would not dissolve, unless the coalition, I guess, if the coalition has a consensus and it's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and we all were like, yeah, that's fine. I feel like we got our worth. Then fine. There can be a democratic consensus. But to me, I think it's a continuous thing, because there's always connections to be made and local leaders to be found, so that third parties can make an impact on every single level of governance.
Mitch, is that good with you?
I believe so. I think you answered my question. I don't have any further questions on that matter. Thank you.
Okay, Drew, it is finally your turn. I know you've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah. So the couple of things to take away. So for the first thing is that I kind of wanted to throw out there is, this needs to be a bit of a, if nothing else, it's communication between third parties that are allied enough that we're willing to work with each other, right? So in that case, one of the things in Pennsylvania is, if you are all registered in the same party and you have candidates in that same party, and right now we would all be political bodies except for the Libertarians and Greens, which they may lose that anyways come this election, because they won't get enough of the vote. But so everybody will be back to political body status, and political body status basically means you're not an officially recognized party by the state. That doesn't matter. Well, all that matters is that you share a name together. And when you share that name, you can stack candidates so that you can have a sheet with a statewide candidate or multiple statewide candidates. And then within that, you can have a congressional candidate, and then you can have state rep candidates that are within that congressional district. And then you can have countywide candidates that are within that state reps district, and have it all the way down the ballot, so that one signature on those petitions goes towards everybody. So what you don't want to do in Pennsylvania in particular is you don't want to compete with each other if you don't have to, because at that point, if you're competing with each other, you're not going to be able to cross obtain ballot access. So the other thing on that is obviously you said you have a chapter in Kutztown, and right now we're scattered all around the state. So we don't have any specific areas right now in Pennsylvania. We hope to at the beginning of next year that we'll be targeting for candidates. And this is where the communication part comes in, so that we know who's got candidates in each area, that the paperwork can get set up, so that if we have pirates in the areas that you're running candidates, we can get 2 sheets, or we can take your sheets and put them together and collect signatures for each other. But we just want to be careful that if you're in the same area that has candidates, you're really breaking it up as far as the way that Pennsylvania works. If you're an allied type party, it's just something to be aware of. And and I don't think that would be the case like in the next year or two, but down the road, it's much more likely where you run into having candidates in the same places, especially once you get into the bigger areas, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, that sort of thing.
Right.
So, but I think what's really important is communication, so that we know, if we've got candidates in areas, we can at least look at those things and say, okay, well, we have some volunteers in that area, but we don't have candidates in that area, right? So then we can share volunteers for signature collection or whatever that may be, which is something that we both want to achieve. So, but yeah, I think at minimum, I think communication is really the most important thing here, so that we're not working at cross purposes. And we're also everybody's aware that who's running who.
Right. So. That's some good points. I haven't thought about it that in depth. So see, this is coalition's already in function right here, guys. This is what we got going. So good stuff. I can't wait. I do want to meet with you personally about collaboration between our parties in Pennsylvania, though.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't have a problem with. Yeah, it's just we keep it open communication. That's I think I have your email now, so I'll be able to.
Yeah, email me. Send an email my way.
Will do.
Yari, you had something you wanted to add?
First, I'm just you have hinted that the document that you sent us, Alex, is not complete, and it certainly seems that it is not complete, or at least not polished at this point. I'm curious if we, in the case that we did decide to join, at what point, like if we would be a part of the process of completing that document, or if, like how that would come about, mostly that.
I think we would do like a constitutional convention type deal. We would get one delegate from each party. Let's say all the 25 organizations are like, all right, we're ready to go. It's like, okay, guys, let's review this. 25 delegates. Let's go. Let's do it. Or we do it by popularity, how many membership proportion. I don't know that, but I think constitution convention type deal is what I would say to that. Make sure we got a final solution.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That's not a good term to use.
Yeah, I was about to. I was like, should I?
No, yeah,
no,
yes.
Don't use those two words together.
Yes, thank you.
I was like, should I say something? Would it be weird if I said something, or should I just not say anything at all?
I think just to put it out there, because we're running way over our normal time, but just to put it out there for people to debate for fun, I suppose. I'm going to go ahead and make a proposal, make a motion that the Pirate Party be one of the 25 organizations sitting in wait. I don't know if there's a specific category for this, Alex. Be one of the 25 parties sitting in this. We will be part of this organization as soon as that number hits.
Pre-sign up.
Pre-sign up, sure.
So I got a little lost there. That's a motion to be part of this pre-sign up list, correct?
Yes, a motion that the U.S. Pirate Party be part of the pre-sign up list for the CATP. There we go. Got it.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Massachusetts seconds.
Okay, Massachusetts seconds. We're going to open up to discussion and debate. I have a comment, but before I comment, does anyone else have a comment?
I got comments.
Okay.
So I would like to remind this party to read No Safe Harbor and realize that Swarmwise is a core part of who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So this is 100% in line with our tactics. And I don't think though we should be careful not to lose ourselves, who we are and what our mission is, I think this is just who we are, what we are and what our mission is. So it's not even a question.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'd like to add a comment really quick.
You could add some comment.
Which is just to say I'm very excited about the idea. I think it's all about the details, right? And I think that's going to come down to this sort of convention that comes up and the wording that happens there. I think it's going to be a lot about also this sort of, Alex, you've talked about the backbone of the organization that you want to set up here for the CATP.
The backbone team,
yeah, that backbone team. And I think that having sort of a decentralized group, or at least a very flexible group of people that can adjust to different situations as a part of that, is going to be really critical. And it's going to be critical to have that set up before any convention that happens. And I know that you're building that actively, but I guess I just want to say for my own part, I think that that's going to be the work of your next year or two, is going to be building that group of people and building their structure and how they work together, and building those relations between that group of people and between the parties that you're working with. Good luck.
Thank you. I think what I might do for the Constitutional Convention, whenever that happens, I might use one of my connections in the Listed First Coalition to get a mediator as well, like a professional mediator, since you're going to have people of different ideologies talking.
Absolutely.
Make sure everything's peaceful, because those people are professionals, bro. They're professionals.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely a good idea. I would suggest a professional mediator who uses more restorative justice practices as opposed to compromisation mediation.
We got a flavor of that.
Suggestion.
There's a flavor of that in the Listed First Coalition. Don't worry, we got it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I like to argue with everybody, so there's a bit of that.
Yeah.
Spicy.
All right. Are there any more debate? I've still got something I'd like to add, but I want to make sure that everyone speaks to it. Are we good? I'm not hearing any more discussion from anyone else. I'll open it back up naturally once I speak, but I want to make sure that I give everyone else a chance to speak first. Okay, so I am gonna play bad cop a little bit more. Not because I don't like Alex. I mean, dude, you've blown me away. You seem super knowledgeable and you seem like a super nice guy. I definitely want to work with you in some form or another. Like totally. Though I do want to caution the PNC to not move too quick with this, just because it is a really, really big decision. We would be devoting at least some form of resources to this, right? In some form, and we are still a small party, so that's, even big major parties, even that's something that even the Libertarians and the Greens should consider, right? Or even big minor parties, I meant to say, is the fact that it is an activity that takes some kind of resources, and I do think that's something we should take into account. This is not saying that we shouldn't do it. I am saying that I think we shouldn't do it tonight. I think we should continue to have discussions with ourselves and figure out, how we feel, and continue to talk to Alex, and maybe pull him into a meeting here or there and continue to talk to him so we can, I just don't want to leave any stones unturned, right? I think that that's important. And I will say I do have one question for you, Alex, that's on my mind that has to do with this, which is, have you had any other minor parties, I guess, of, minor parties of note, parties with Wikipedia pages, with elected officials on some level, like us, sign on to this yet? And can you say?
No, not officially. It's
Okay.
interest.
All right.
Because I started this, a month ago, and you know how bureaucracies move. It gets moved up, and it's like, oh, let me follow up with you. Let me take it to this person. You got to give it some. I say you got to give it some time. Usually with those things, like you want to give it some time, they want to give it some time as well.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable, and I thank you for being honest with me. Joe, I'll go ahead and let you speak.
The motion that I seconded was just a tentative. We always reserve the right to void, run, and create more piracy.
What's that mean in this context?
Yari, I think you'd be better at explaining.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think here's the thing, right? There's going to be two things. There's going to be this convention for the creation of the binding documents of this organization, right? At that point, right, we are collaborating with other organizations in creation of the binding documents of the organization. If during that convention we go, hey, I'm not liking what's happening here, bye, like that is our, we realize that this is actually not going the way that we want it to.
You mean if this turned into the League of the South?
Yeah. Yeah.
Decorum, please. We don't have to keep making jokes at expense of the LP.
Oh, that wasn't an LP joke.
Oh, well, that's also related to the Woods stuff as well.
It's just related to him.
But if we, I think that the reason I made this motion now, if I may elaborate a little bit, the reason I made this motion now is because as much as I recognize the wish to hold this off for a little bit, I don't think that we're going to get anything qualitatively any more information out of holding this off for a little bit. The document that Alex sent us is tentative. We can read through that more and learn a little bit more. Great. But it's tentative, which means that if we talk to Alex, we can push it one way or the other, right? If we talk to Alex, we can push in terms of getting the organization in terms of advising and saying like, hey, this way you're setting up this backbone organization, I'm putting quotes around that, is like, maybe you might want to, that this other way makes a little bit more sense. Maybe you might want to consider that. And here's the research to back that up.
Yari, may I comment? Please. My concern is not necessarily the structure of the organization. This has much more to do with an investment and sort of an insurance that this is going somewhere, right? I don't, because any investment, any time, any people that we send, is, the time is money. That comes out of our ability to organize this party, right?
I have an idea to fix that part.
Okay, we will. I'll get to you. I will
Okay.
fast track. But that is a concern of mine, and essentially, I think my concern is that as much as I like this idea, I don't want to be the first major minor party to sign on to something like this. I want the more successful minor parties to come in and give some sort of backing first.
I will say, can I say something to that?
Yeah, sure.
It's usually with this type of stuff, building some sort of coalition of sorts, because I've done it before in like other minor things in school and stuff. It's usually the first few members that really get the ball rolling, and usually the first few members are the people. I'm not trying, like, this is just me being how it is. It's like usually those first few are the people that are the ones that are. It's like a founding fathers thing. You know what I mean? And connections create connections in which you can say, oh, I'm sure I actually just got emailed today from the American Solidarity Party, which was right before this meeting. I was like, that's crazy. So it's a legitimacy thing. So just as you're concerned with legitimacy, everyone else is concerned with legitimacy. So it's a matter of like getting it rolling. And it's not like, I will say, it's not like you're going to lose anything, because the coalition, you're not going to dedicate any resources yet until the coalition started up and the constitutional convention is going underway, which is, it needs to reach that 25 organization limit. So the only contribution you would make is like, hey, do you know of any state parties or minor parties you know of that maybe you could get me connected to so I can start the meeting? That's the only thing I would possibly have.
Realistically, Alex, when do you think that 25 number is going to be hit?
To give a comfortable time, so I'm not the Lockheed Martin telling the U.S. government that I swear it's another $200 billion to make the F-35. I want to give myself 6 months to really make sure this thing is healthy. This kind of goes off of a principle of mine. Can I tell a little story real quick?
Sure.
I apologize. I must go. But just to say one quick thing, LinkedIn is used for business. Facebook is used for the trolls in my neighborhood. Whatever you were rubbing elbows, we're putting a face behind the policies that we're setting. And let me tell you, our policies are reaching people. At least they reach people in Massachusetts. So I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see where this plays out. But I will follow the sway of this council. So,
all right.
Bid you adieu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
So, all right. So, long and short of the story is that when I wanted to launch the Stair Party on February 1st, and I went to my stepdad, and I was like, hey, so what do you? I don't know because we were actually going on like day to day, so the website was for some reason not responding properly, but we got it working, but it said it would take up to 72 hours to get the website working. So I told my stepdad, because at this point we didn't have the website up. I said to him, should I launch the Stair Party February 1st without a website, or should I wait a few days so it's a more finished product, but I extend the deadline? And he said, yeah, you should probably extend a few days. So he's Puerto Rican, by the way. So just to give you context, he said, Americans are way too focused on deadlines. So that was kind of how I feel now but if I were to give a deadline, I would say 6 months is a healthy amount of time for bureaucracies to go underway, do their stuff, and also for me to continue to get stuff rolling. And worst comes to worst, the Stare Party is always here. I'm always up for collaboration personally. I can say that right now because I'm the chairman. I'll run it through my people, but let me tell you, they're big collaborators right now. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're in the chat.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, so they're big collaborators as well. So you can see them right there.
So I do have an answer for this that might put some people at ease here.
Yeah, you can go, Drew.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do think I am the jump in and be the I mean, obviously we're not the innovator. Alex is the innovator, but I think being in on the ground floor on this is a good idea. And just like Yari said, if things don't go the way that we like them, we can pull our support from it, and and if it needs to go that far, we can do it publicly. The other side is how I think we can fix the apprehension is if Yari would volunteer to be our ambassador when that time comes. Or if
I'm not going to let you do this to yourself. You already do way too much for this.
Or if anybody else on the call wanted. I mean, it just sounds like Yari's got a good handle on which ways they want us to go, and I'm in full agreement. So, I mean, just saying that if Yari would be willing to volunteer.
Yeah, actually.
I will let Mitch go, and then I want to jump back on this conversation. Mitch.
Yeah, this just goes back to the concept of the coalition. It's really, what does the Stare Party hope to achieve outside of simply ballot access? Like, what is the issue the Stare Party wants to see pushed forward? You would say that this is one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue, and it's the reason why we should continue to work together.
So like that would be the breaking of the duopoly, because the ultimate goal is destruction of the duopoly so that third parties can function freely without any problems or any restrictions, and we all can independently function without being constantly hammered down. So if you want that ultimate goal, it's destruction of the duopoly. For minor goals, it's that building of that constant stream of building of connections. Coalition-wide events are also a great possibility for just amplification in general of everyone. And finally, the fight for ranked choice voting and ballot access is probably going to be a long and arduous one. If I were to be realistic, it's going to be tough. I know of a third party in California, the Common Sense Party, who's really fighting tooth and nail with the California Supreme Court, I believe, to get registered. They're really pushing it. So there's plenty of goals to be accomplished. And as always, if the coalition feels like it's served its purpose, democracy will decide its fate.
Let me rephrase this, because I do like what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. But I feel as though that anyone working in a coalition for third parties, the goal of we're here to break the duopoly and we're here to get ballot access, I feel as though that's a given. That if we're in a third party, we're all trying to break the duopoly. And for example, I consider myself a Pan-American. That's an issue that's very important to me. And when looking at someone like
Mitch, can I ask a clarifying question?
Of course.
Are you asking Alex about the goals of the coalition, or are you asking Alex about the goals of the Stare Party?
I suppose it's really more so goals for the Stare Party, where this is as what would an elected member of the Stair Party, what is one of the most important issues for them? I'm just trying to gauge, like, because of course ballot access is important. Of course, that is a need to put coalitions together. You know, but again, for example, if the Greens and the Libertarians started coalition together, I'd assume it was for something extreme, like we're working to get a NATO abolished or something like that. I want to know what would be a reason past the just simply getting ballot access and working together to break up the duopoly. What do the Stairs and the Pirates have in common that this would be a partnership worthwhile?
So I think it comes down to how our party functions is the best way I can explain this. So first, I mean, we already agree on internet privacy, so that's a given. The second thing is I think we also support universal broadband. That was another big thing for us, for the Stair Party. But the main thing I would say is when I came to the Stair Party, I was very aware that my party is not going to gain any significance anytime soon. So my solution was, how do we make sure that we make a difference? And this is going into corporate speak. So rough travels ahead. And I emphasize this to my people starting chapters in Minnesota and Louisiana, and they've come up with really good ideas. So I said, you're going to make a difference and be problem solvers on every level. So even if the Stair Party doesn't have access to, let's say, ballot, you're still going to make sure that you're involved in making a difference in your community so that your community is strengthened to fight against corruption, as well as to just be a more prosperous neighborhood. For example, we actually have two theories of, I guess this is two basic theories of how the Stair Party wants to make an impact. So for Louisiana, for LA Tech, the Stair Party Louisiana guy, he is going to make a difference in his local area because he's wanting to do an idea of a canned food drive, a food drive to help the people in his area. My thing is, in my area, in my university, my Stair Party chapter, for the first 2 semesters I've been there, we've been very involved in student government and trying to empower or help students with student government. Despite how small student government is, it's still, at least in my university, it manages a $2 million budget, of clubs. So it's where I think the Stair Party and the Pirate Party in a big scale come together, when it's really that decentralization idea of trying to strengthen every single community and trying to make a difference where we can, and working together to do food drives, protests, fixing local bureaucracies such as school administration, stuff like that. If you want, I hope that answers your question.
It does better answer my question. Thank you.
All right, sweet.
Okay, Yari, you have your hand raised.
I want to be very cognizant of the time, and I'm being cognizant for my own mental health mostly. We are 45 minutes over the normal meeting end, and so I am going to motion to table my own motion. I think
you do that? Withdraw. You can just withdraw your motion.
No, I'm tabling it. I'm not withdrawing it. Okay. I like my motion. All right. It's a good motion. We're tabling until next time. That's what I want to do. It's a good motion.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but Robert's
I don't care.
There's a motion on to table the motion.
Can I make a suggestion just to make it easier?
Yeah.
You withdraw your motion, but have AJ add you to the agenda for our next meeting.
I mean, I could add myself to the agenda.
Or you can add
secretary.
That's true. Or put yourself on to the next meeting for this topic.
That works too.
That works.
I'm gonna consensusify this. That's a word.
Yeah.
If there
Whatever.
are no objections, Yari has created a plan to essentially table this discussion until next week so we can get out of here. The one thing I'd like to add to that for discussion is it's going to be on IRC next week. Do we want to invite Alex back next week? Do we want to invite him back in 2 weeks? Do we want to, let him be for now and get a hold of him when we make a decision? How do we want to handle our guests?
Could I add something?
Yeah, you are the guest being handled.
I'm pretty sure Drew has my email, and I think he has my phone
I
number
do.
as well.
If you
Here,
put
I'll
it in there.
I don't know if that's the old phone number because I put my phone number in my last phone in the washing machine, so I had to get a new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would just put it in the chat. Don't put that in the public
I
live
won't.
stream.
I won't.
That's my.
We're about personal privacy as well as
Oh
accountability.
yeah, hold up. I messed that up.
Oh, you messed it up.
Yeah, hold up. There you go. So that's my phone number, and then
Okay.
Drew has my email.
Yeah.
Just reach out to me. I'm ready to go whenever.
So my suggestion
I'm
would be
gonna-
that we discuss it and not have Alex back, but maybe have Alex back or contact Alex when we have a decision.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think next week we can discuss it as a body, and then if we have further questions for Alex, we can contact Alex about the meeting 2 weeks from now, or if we have a decision and want to present that to Alex 2 weeks from now, we can do that.
Okay. So to reiterate, the consensus that I'm currently hearing is that we are going to do some kind of motion table to, so we can wrap up and move to adjourn. But the plan is that we are going to discuss this entire thing as a body by ourselves next week during our IRC meeting, and we will contact Alex as soon if we've with whatever information we've gathered from that next meeting. That is what I'm hearing. Are there any objections to that?
Oh, a lot of follows. All right, hold up. Following.
Okay, if there are no objections, I'm going to consider that the plan and scrub
I move
this
to
from our
adjourn.
agenda.
And I'll second that.
Did you motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. There's a second. I'll just do it this way. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
That was at least 3 voices. That's enough. We are adjourned at whatever time it is, late.
10:48 p.m. Eastern.
10:48 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Alex Darlington for coming on today. Sorry we couldn't have you on last week. We had some scheduling issues there, but you were wonderful. I think we're all very excited, and we look forward to any potential partnerships. And thank all of you who might be watching. I heard we even have some starists in our audience. So thank you for tuning in and watching our meeting. We will hold our next meeting. Yes?
Subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe to our channel. That is true.
Subscribe to our channel. Check out our
That's not
Discord.
true. That's not a what's the word? It's been a long time since I took intro to ethics, but there's a value judgment. There's some subscribe to our channel is not something that can be considered true, but you should make it true. You should make it so that you are subscribed to our channel. I'm butchering the intro logic stuff so hard right now. That's not important. Thank you all for attending. Our next meeting will be next week on IRC at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have never used IRC before, we have resources in our Discord to set that up. We use IRC every other week so that you can come comment regardless of whether or not you're a PNC member. It's for transparency purposes. I think that's everything. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We will continue this business next week.
Hey, one more suggestion before we go.
Yeah.
I was going to say you could put the outline in the Discord and set up a straw poll to see if they approve of it or disapprove. Do a little bit direct democracy there. That's also
Not a
possible.
bad idea. I do like me some direct democracy.
All right. That was all. I won't hold this for any longer.
All right.
AJ, outro us out.
I more or less outro us out. What am I forgetting to say? I think this is my first video meeting as a chair.
I don't know. I just need a cue to cut us.
Just
this
tell
vote
us
pirate.
tonight and a beautiful tomorrow.
There we go.
Vote pirate. And
All right, y'all. Have a
and
good
we're out. Okay, that was good enough. We're out.
Yep. Good night.